Mom was already on her second glass of wine when she leaned across the table and said it. "So Nate, when's it your turn?" Same line I'd heard every Thanksgiving, every birthday, every holiday since I turned 30. Only this time, it hit different. My brother's wedding was 2 nights ago. Huge venue, sunset vows, open bar, drones filming from the sky like it was some royal event. Now we were all at my parents' house doing the usual Sunday dinner thing. Roast chicken, potatoes, candlelit centerpiece like it was still part of the wedding week. Everyone was glowing, like the wedding had somehow fixed the family. I took a sip of my beer, smiled. Already happened, you just weren't there. That pulled the plug on the whole vibe real fast. My brother froze mid-chew. Mom's glass hovered in the air, lipsticked and forgotten. Dad's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. "You're kidding," my brother said. "Nope, 6 months ago, courthouse, just the two of us. Simple, no audience." Mom blinked like I'd slapped her. "You didn't tell us?" I shook my head. "You didn't ask. You were too busy picking floral centerpieces and debating signature cocktails. Before we keep going, quick note, before you start listening, tell us which city or country you're watching from." My brother put his fork down, his face starting to get that embarrassed flush he used to get when he got caught lying as a kid. "Wait, are you serious? You really got married?" I nodded once. "Her name's Hannah. She's incredible. And no, she's not pregnant or dying or any of the usual reasons people assume when you keep it quiet." Silence. Dad cleared his throat like he was about to give a sermon. "Why would you do it like that?" "Because I didn't feel like being someone's background character again. Because not everything's a production." Mom was still staring like I'd just told her I joined a cult. "We would have come. We should have been there." I leaned forward. "You mean like I should have been at the wedding?" My brother's face dropped. "You knew I wasn't in the wedding party. You didn't even save me a seat at the ceremony. I watched from the back like I was somebody's plus one. You left me out before I ever left you out." Nobody had anything to say after that. Just forks clinking and glasses shifting. So I stood up, grabbed my plate, and walked it to the sink. I didn't need dessert. I'd already dropped the only thing that mattered. Napkins abandoned. The roast chicken was going cold in the middle of the table, like nobody wanted to be the first to touch it again. "So," I said, sitting back down, "anything else you want to ask? Or should I just fill in the rest?" My brother shifted in his seat like he wanted to say something, but didn't know where to start. Probably didn't want to step in it again. No one had ever asked if I was seeing someone. Not once. Not over the past 3 years. They asked how work was going, if I was still in the same apartment, if my car was still running. But not once did anyone ask, "Are you seeing anybody?" When I met Hannah, I didn't rush to share. Not because I was hiding her. Hell no. But because I already knew what would come with it. The fake enthusiasm. The passive-aggressive questions. The way Mom would have smiled with her mouth and judged with her eyes. Hannah's not polished. She didn't go to some fancy college. She doesn't do wine tastings or post inspirational quotes. But she's real. She's steady. She listens. And she didn't flinch when I said I didn't want a wedding. We got engaged in my kitchen. No ring yet, no kneeling, just a shared look over burnt toast and a half-cleaned skillet. We eloped under a steel gray sky on a Friday morning. Courthouse. Quick vows, paperwork, done by noon. She wore a blue dress that flapped in the wind. I wore a button-down shirt I hadn't ironed right. And we laughed. We laughed. I mailed them one photo. Just one, me with my hand in hers. Wind messing up her hair. Us not caring. Nobody replied, no text, no call. At least, not back then. And now, here they were, staring at me like I'd thrown a live grenade on the table. Dad finally spoke. "Is she good to you?" I didn't blink. "Better than you ever were." That landed like a slap. He looked like he wanted to say something back, but he didn't. Just leaned back in his chair and looked down at his plate like it might have an escape route. Mom swallowed hard. "Nate, that's not fair." "Fair?" I said. "You want to talk fair now?" She opened her mouth, closed it, then tried again. "We didn't know. You never told us. How were we supposed to react?" "You weren't supposed to react. You were supposed to care before it became news. You can't suddenly pretend to give a damn because you got caught off guard." My brother leaned forward. "You could have told me, man. Just me." I shook my head. "You were planning a wedding. You were busy being the golden boy. You never asked what was going on in my life. And let's be honest, you wouldn't have kept it to yourself anyway. He looked stung. Good. I wasn't trying to be cruel, I said. I was trying to have something of my own, without the judgment, without the checklist, without the measuring stick you all keep tucked in your back pocket. Dad muttered, "You think we're all against you." "No," I said. "I know you don't see me. You never have." Nobody denied it. Not one person at that table could look me in the eye. "Here's the thing," I said. "I'm not mad you weren't there. I'm mad you never wanted to be." I walked out and let the door slam behind me. Let them sit with that. I hadn't made it halfway down the porch steps before the door creaked open behind me. "Nate," Mom called out. I didn't stop walking, but she followed me out anyway, arms wrapped tight across her chest, like the cold was sudden and personal. "Wait," she said. "We're not finished." I turned back just enough to see her face. That look she used when she was trying to make her voice sound calm, but couldn't hide the heat underneath. She stepped closer. "As your mother, I had a right to be there." There it was, the spin. Classic mom move, make it about her. I shook my head, exhaled hard through my nose, then looked straight at my brother through the window. He was still sitting at the table, pretending not to hear a damn word. "Didn't think I had the right to be at your wedding though, huh?" I said. He caught my eye and looked away fast, like he'd been hit in the chest. "We thought you'd be busy with work," he called through the screen. "Bullshit," I snapped. "You didn't even ask, didn't send an invite, didn't save me a seat. I sat at home and watched your wedding unfold on Instagram like a stranger." Mom raised her hands. "We didn't think—" "No, you never do," I cut in. "Not about me, not unless I'm making noise." I could feel my pulse in my throat. My voice was steady, but I wanted to punch something. Not because I was angry at what they did, but because they had the nerve to act confused now. "You didn't forget me," I said. "You left me out. Don't pretend otherwise." Mom looked like she wanted to cry, but nothing came out. No tears, no apology, just silence. "I'm not the golden child," I said, pointing toward the house. "That's him, always has been. He's the one with the polished speeches and shiny milestones. I'm just the background son, the one who doesn't cause trouble, so you don't bother checking in." She flinched. That one got through. "I never asked for much," I said. "But when I met someone who actually saw me, who wanted me, I wasn't about to hand her over to your judgment, your measuring stick, your need to control everything." She shook her head. "You think that's what I was doing? I know that's what you were doing. You made my life a checklist I never signed up for. School, job, wife, house, kids, holidays, perfect Instagram family. And when I didn't play along, you just stopped looking." She opened her mouth again, but I didn't care what was coming. "This dinner," I said, "wasn't for you. It was for me. I'm done pretending like you didn't push me out of it." Her arms dropped to her sides. "I'm not asking for anything," I said. "I'm just done letting you write me out of my own life." Then I turned around, walked down the rest of the steps, and didn't look back. I didn't hear a damn thing for 3 days. No call, no text. Not even a passive-aggressive, "hope you're well." Just silence. I wasn't surprised, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't land heavy. The kind of quiet that feels like punishment. Then, out of nowhere, Mom sent an email. Not a text, not a call. An email, subject line blank. Inside, it said, "You blindsided us. You hurt your brother." That was it. No, "How are you?" No, "We want to understand." Just blame, shrink-wrapped into a single sentence. A few hours later, my phone buzzed again. My brother had posted some throwback photo on Facebook, us as kids standing in front of our old treehouse, arms slung around each other. Caption said, "Some people watch, some vanish. Real family shows up." I didn't need a tag to know it was for me. The comments came in fast, cousins playing favorites, old neighbors chiming in like they knew the full story, childhood friends talking about how quiet Nate was, but always solid, like concrete, like a foundation you forget exists until it cracks. I didn't reply, didn't like, didn't comment. Just sat there at the kitchen table, staring at the screen while Hannah folded laundry beside me. She didn't ask what I was reading, didn't push, just kept folding. Then she looked over and said, "Do they even know what kind of dog you wanted growing up?" I blinked. "What?" "The dog, when you were a kid. Did they ever ask?" I shook my head. "Nope, never came up." She nodded once, kept folding. 6 months ago, she'd surprised me with a retriever pup. Red collar, flopping ears, big dumb eyes. Showed up after work with him in the passenger seat of her car. No big speech, no Instagram post. Just handed me the leash and said, "Figured it was time someone remembered what you liked." He was curled up at my feet now, tail thumping against the floor every time I shifted. That moment, watching her move from shirt to shirt like it was just another day, hit me harder than all the silence from my family. She didn't ask me to prove anything, didn't need a reason to care. And right then, I realized something they never taught me growing up. Real family doesn't need a spotlight. They just show up and stay. I got up, grabbed a shirt off the couch, and started folding too. No words, no speeches, just action. The next morning, I checked my email out of habit. One new message from Dad. 5 words. Can we talk? Just us. No subject line, no signature, no punctuation. I stared at it for a while. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because I didn't trust what he wanted to say. I replied with one word. Sure. We met that evening at a diner halfway between my place and theirs. The old one with the red booths and sticky menus. The same spot we used to hit after baseball games back when I still thought he was a superhero. He was already there when I walked in. Corner booth, coffee half gone, no food. He looked up and gave me a short nod. Nothing in his face gave away what kind of talk this would be. I slid into the booth across from him. "I'm not taking sides," he said before I even picked up a menu. I raised an eyebrow. "You already did." He sighed and sat back. "I didn't realize how far apart you and your mother got." I shook my head. "We didn't get there. We always were." He didn't argue, just reached into his coat pocket and pulled something out. Small, folded, careful. He slid it across the table like it was contraband. I opened it. The photo, me and Hannah, wind in our hair, laughing like idiots. The one I'd mailed out that nobody replied to. "I kept this," he said, "even when your mom called it disrespectful." I didn't say anything at first, just looked at it. That photo said more about my life than any of them ever bothered to learn. I folded it again and slid it into my wallet. Not for him. For me. "If you want to know me," I said, "talk to me, not around her. Not after she's filtered it. Not after she's decided what matters." "I didn't know it was that bad." "You didn't ask." He nodded slowly, like that admission cost him something. Your mother, she has this idea of how things should be," he said. "And when things don't match, she rewrites it, cuts corners, pretends it fits." "I know," I said. "And you've been backing her edits my whole life." He rubbed his hands together, like they were cold. "I just didn't want more fights in the house. So you made peace by keeping quiet. Got it?" He didn't flinch, didn't deny it. "I don't need you to fix anything," I told him. "But if you're still choosing silence over truth, don't bother emailing again." "I'm here now," I shrugged. "For how long?" That one landed. He looked down at his empty cup. I pushed back from the booth, tossed a 5 on the table, and stood up. "Next time, bring questions, not cleanup." Then I walked out, photo tucked tight in my wallet, his silence chasing behind me. 2 days later, I saw her car from the kitchen window. Same white SUV, parked crooked across the curb, like she had the right to take up space. Engine off, just sitting there. Didn't call, didn't knock, just waited. Like she was delivering court papers and needed a signature. I opened the front door, loud on purpose. She stepped out. Arms crossed, sunglasses still on, mouth tight. "You gonna stand there, or you want to come in?" I asked. "I'm fine out here," she said. I stepped onto the porch, kept my distance, let her start. "Your father made me the villain, huh?" I didn't answer, didn't need to. He made it sound like I was the problem, like I pushed you away. I leaned against the railing. "You embarrassed your brother. You made a scene," she added quickly, like reading from a script she'd practiced in the mirror. I tilted my head. "You asked when I was getting married. I answered." She took her sunglasses off and looked straight at me. Her eyes were sharp, not soft. "You've always needed too much." That hit hard. She said it like it was fact, like it was my flaw, not her failure. "Too much space," she went on. "Too much attention. You always had to make everything about you." I stepped forward, just one step, just enough. "I didn't need attention," I said. "I needed respect. I needed to matter. But you don't know the difference, do you?" She blinked. "I was doing my best." "No," I said. "You were doing your version of best, For you, for the image, for the story you wanted people to believe. She shook her head, face tightening. You think you're some martyr now? I crossed my arms. No, I think I'm done. You didn't lose a son. You lost control. That shut her up. For the first time, she looked unsure. She opened her mouth, then closed it. I waited. Nothing. No apology, no softness, no change. She turned, walked back to her car like it wasn't worth arguing anymore. Like she'd already decided how the story would sound when she retold it. I watched her climb in, hands shaking just enough to fumble the keys. She didn't wave, didn't look back, just backed out fast, wheels grinding against the curb, and drove off without a word. I stood there on the porch until the taillights disappeared. Then I went inside and locked the door behind me. A week later, I came home to a thick padded envelope shoved halfway through the mail slot. No return address, just the family crest, stamped in gold on the corner, the same one they used on the wedding invites. Hannah spotted it first, resting on the hallway floor like a threat. She picked it up, handed it to me, then crossed her arms. You sure you want to open that? I nodded. Yeah, I want to see how far they took it. We sat at the kitchen table, side by side. I peeled the flap open slow, like I already knew it was going to sting. Inside, the official wedding album, heavy, glossy, full of effort. First few pages, exactly what you'd expect. Ceremony shots, fancy arch, bride glowing, brother in his overpriced tux holding court like a damn movie star. Then came the reception, cake, lights, sparkler exit. Every page looked perfect, every moment staged just enough to hide the truth. Then I hit the family section. There it was. A full spread photo of the immediate family. My parents in the middle, my brother and his new wife flanking them, and on the end, someone labeled Nathan. But it wasn't me. It was my cousin Drew. Same height, similar build, same brown hair. He was wearing a dark gray suit I recognized from a funeral 2 years ago. Mine. He wasn't even smiling. Just standing there, arms at his sides, like a cardboard cutout. They had replaced me. Not cropped me out. Replaced me. Hannah leaned over, eyes narrowing. That's Drew, she said flatly. Yep. They actually used him? I nodded, jaw locked. My hands were steady, but everything inside me burned cold. They didn't just exclude me. They rewrote me, like I never existed. I stood up, grabbed a black Sharpie from the junk drawer, uncapped it, and pressed it down hard on the first page. In thick letters, I wrote one word, return. No signature, no explanation, just the truth. Hannah didn't say anything. She didn't have to. The next morning, I wrapped it back in the same padded envelope, sealed it with duct tape, and walked it straight to the blue USPS box 2 blocks down, slid it in, heard it hit the bottom, and walked home without looking back. A month later, we threw our own version of a celebration. Not a wedding, not a makeup event. Just a gathering by the lake near our place. Hannah baked 2 pies the night before. 1 apple, 1 something with chocolate I couldn't pronounce. I grabbed a few cases of cheap beer, stacked them in a cooler, and we set up 3 folding tables under the trees. No decorations, no playlist, no speeches. About 30 people showed. A couple of my coworkers brought their kids. Our neighbor Carol brought potato salad and plastic forks. Old friends I hadn't seen in years showed up with smiles and hugs like no time had passed. Nobody asked for a dress code. Nobody cared about the weather. They came because they wanted to. We stood in front of everyone, hand in hand, and read our vows again. Same words, same energy, just different air. No crying, no cameras, no pressure to perform, just peace. Afterward, we passed out pie slices on paper plates and let people drift around. Someone near the picnic table asked, "Is your family coming later?" I didn't hesitate. They already had their wedding, just not mine. Hannah gave my hand a quick squeeze. No one asked anything after that. Later that night, after everyone left and the sun was down, I sat on the living room floor with an old shoebox in front of me. I packed it all into a shopping bag, walked it down to the donation bin behind the drugstore. As I dropped the bag in, a kid riding by on a bike skidded to a stop at the curb and pointed. "Hey, nice tie." I looked down. It was hanging out of the top, blue and shiny under the streetlight. I smiled. Never really fit. He nodded like he got it. Then he rode off, and I walked home with empty hands. They never responded to the returned album. Not a call, not a text, no sarcastic email, no awkward apology. They didn't even acknowledge the black marker across the first page. Didn't ask why my face was missing from the family photo. And that silence? It used to sting. Used to make me wonder if I'd gone too far. If I should have handled it differently. But not anymore. Now, it just confirmed what I'd already figured out. I stopped waiting for the apology that wasn't coming. Stopped hoping someone would finally sit down and say, "Hey, maybe we were wrong too." Instead, I started pouring energy into the life I did have, the one right in front of me, the dog that met me at the door every day, tail spinning like a fan, the tiny backyard we turned into a real space, string lights, a grill, a hammock, and Hannah, always Hannah, who packed notes in my lunch bag that said stuff like, "Don't forget to breathe," or "You matter to someone who matters." I'd open those during 10-minute breaks at work and just sit there, letting the words settle. Months passed. Then one night, I opened my inbox and saw it. Dad. One line. "Still here if you ever want to talk." No subject, no sign-off. I stared at it for maybe 30 seconds, then closed the laptop. Some doors don't slam shut. They just drift closed over time, quiet and slow, until one day you realize they're sealed. And others, the ones that matter, they stay open on both sides. No lock, no begging, no guilt trip. I wasn't bitter, I wasn't angry, I was done. And that felt better than any toast, any speech, any photo album, because I wasn't missing anymore. I just stepped out of the frame.